right, so welcome to my unnamed podcast. So I guess it'll be the Mike Maloney show, and we do have our first sponsor. Hold on. This is Michelob Ultra Zero non-alcoholic beer, 29 calories, no alcohol. For when you don't want to get drunk, but you want to still have to go pee every 5 minutes, get yourself a Michelob Ultra non-alcoholic beer. So that's my sponsor. All right. So I will start by introducing my guest today, which is my dad, Dennis Maloney, born October 7th, 1942, in Portland.
Yep.
Is that where you born in Portland?
Yep.
Which hospital in Portland?
Hell, buddy, I wasn't there.
You were there, but probably
I
not
was
talking
there,
to us.
but I don't recall. I think it was Good Samaritan, if I'm not mistaken. So,
All right, and then to Dad Art, Mom Loretta, oldest of three, younger sister Lori, younger brother John, and then you guys moved to Philadelphia at some point, right? What? How?
1950, we moved to Philadelphia, and we came back. Is that right? Yeah, 1950, and then we came back to Portland in about 56, in time for high school.
In high school? Okay, so you left. You were like 8 years old, and then you came back for high school.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
All right, and then this won't be much about Grandpa, but Grandpa was in his own right, and definitely by his own recollection, a good athlete.
Well,
So he went to
especially his own recollection.
Yeah,
Uh,
he went to Lincoln High.
He went to Lincoln High. He played football there. He was all conference or something like that. Then he went on to the University of Portland, who at the time played teams like St. Mary's, which was where a lot of the military guys played during World War II, and they were a force to be reckoned with. They played Oregon State, Gonzaga. I can't think of the other teams they played, but then he went on and played professional football for the Portland Rockets in Portland.
Right.
And they were kind of like as I understand it, they were like a farm team for the Detroit Lions. So.
And did he also play for a team called the L.A. Dons at one time? Was that
No, he played against the LA Dons.
which was Don Amici's team at the time
Was
or
that
something,
right?
right?
I didn't know that.
I think that's what it was.
Huh.
All right. So and then he was still doing that when you were a kid, I guess he was still making money to buy a house by playing football at night after his day job.
Yeah, he played till about, I'm going to guess he played to about 1946.
Okay.
So he played during the war years, and he was a Canadian citizen, had not gotten a naturalized citizenship yet, so he couldn't be in the military, so he ended up running the shipyards, or at least a significant part of the shipyards that were building all the battleships and the carriers and things like that at the time here in the Portland docks. And,
Okay.
We actually have clippings about his performance at that level, which apparently they set all sorts of records under his tutelage, and he actually got credit for it in the article I have. So.
Okay, so he was born in Canada. His dad was born in Ireland, right? Simon was his dad, who was born in Ireland and came over.
I'm doing this whole research on it. I will tell you that probably in a couple of weeks because I got somebody doing the whole family history. I don't know that Simon was born in Ireland. I think he was, but we'll find out for sure here in a couple of weeks.
Okay, all right. So first question. First question on the sports side. So, what is your first recollection of age, grade, roughly, and what a plain organized sports?
Grade school in Philadelphia, St. Dorothy's grade school, Catholic school, and we played in a Catholic league. It was Pop Warner type football, and I remember, well, by the time I got to 8th grade, I played in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and by 8th grade, I was at about 6 feet tall and over 200 pounds. And the average kid was like 11 pounds. It was like everybody else was maybe 100 pounds, 120. So I was ridiculously large. And at that time, they didn't have rules about who could carry the ball. So they gave me the ball, and I scored a couple of touchdowns. And you get to high school, it's different. They actually tackle you in high school because there's other big people. And I realized very quickly I was not meant to carry the ball. So
So wait, no, but did you have a touchdown? Was it like a stadium in Philadelphia? You guys played like a halftime game or
yeah, we
something?
played at halftime to the Villanova Navy football game, and that would be like 54, 55, and I scored a touchdown that in my mind is, somewhere around 60 yards and was probably 20. But
Right.
I know it was the longest I'd ever run with the ball before, so
Do you remember at all what number you were?
no clue.
All right. All right. And then were you playing like baseball or basketball as a
Played
little kid too?
baseball, and my single highlight there was that I was a catcher on the team, and we were playing another Catholic school, St. Andrews or something like that, and I knew the guy that had gotten onto third base, and I dared him to steal home on me, and he did. And so I lost that contest. And that really was a foreboding of my athletic baseball career, which we can cover later.
Which you passed on to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So okay. So then you moved to Oregon. You wanted to go to Jesuit, right?
Well, I wanted to go to Central Catholic,
Oh, okay.
which was
All right.
closer to where we lived in southeast Portland. And we were 2 weeks late for school. Dad had gotten transferred with his company back here to Portland, and we were 2 weeks late for school, and Central was already full. So they told me I couldn't enroll, so I ended up going to Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
which they were much more flexible on that sort of thing. And so that's how I got to Cleveland High School.
And then so freshman football is the first time you start meeting friends and everything was kind
Yeah.
of like you. That was me. I mean, say I moved right during summer, getting ready for freshman football.
Yeah, and that was my. Well, let's put it this way: my freshman year was not stellar because I brought
Okay.
with me a lot of the Philadelphia norms for how you handle things. And for example, in Philadelphia, if somebody crossed you or did anything you didn't like, you belted them. And that's kind of what I did my freshman year. And I remember belting one guy that ended up becoming student body president and the freshman class president. So I was kind of persona non grata in my freshman year.
Okay.
And sophomore year, things.
So wait, go. But freshman year, real quick, you're belting people, who cross you. But how do you were you pretty good on the team as a freshman?
Well, I was starting. I was good enough to
Yeah.
start. You can't
Okay.
tell anything as a freshman, really. But
Right.
anyhow, sophomore year, at the end of the year, I started out junior. We used to have junior varsity teams, and I played junior varsity until about halfway through the year, and then they pulled me up to varsity. But I wasn't a starter by any means.
Okay.
Junior year, and then sophomore year is also when I started to get involved with track and field. So that was when I
So
started to
so
throw
goes
out the discus.
so go back sophomore year in football. So you get pulled up during the season. Where were they? Were you playing offense or defense or both? Like when they pulled you up?
Pretty much
Okay.
everybody played both. Now,
Okay.
I don't remember my sophomore year specifically. I'm guessing that probably I only played one way because, they had lots of seniors they wanted to get in there and so on. I think they just slotted me in to get me prepared for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Then junior year, I started as the center on the football team, and we had a really good team that year. The second best team in the Portland Interscholastic League, only behind Mel Renfro, Ray Renfro, and Terry Baker's Jefferson High School.
Which arguably the greatest team in the history of Oregon.
To this date, it's still considered one of the top teams. There's
Yeah.
others that may have passed it, but based on what I remember, they're still number one. So you don't have many that have somebody in the NFL Hall of Fame plus a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
And then they had, off of that team, I remember off of that Jefferson High School team, the All-State team came out that year, and they had 33 players. You didn't separate it by offense, defense. You were either All-State or you weren't. First team, second team, honorable mention. And from that Jefferson team, there were 12 guys that made the All-State team either first, second, or honorable mention. So
Wow.
that gives you a little indication of how good they were.
So when you got pulled up your sophomore year, did a lot of people get pulled up, or was it
No,
how many sophomores probably?
as I recall, there was just myself and Butch Niels,
And Butch Mills.
my
Okay.
good friend.
And then on defense, did you play like a nose tackle since you were center, or where did you play on defense?
Mostly just a tackle,
Okay.
defensive tackle,
All right.
and every once in a while nose guard. But you know, I was more as a tackle, mainly because I was right-handed. I usually played right defensive tackle.
Okay. And then sophomore year was the first time you threw shot.
Sophomore year was the first time I threw a shot, and I fell in love with that event. I fell in love with the discus as well. I just wasn't fast enough around the ring to do much with it. But in the shot, I worked on that constantly. And over the next 3 years, sophomore, junior, and senior year, managed to improve significantly every year. And sophomore year, I think my best was like 43 feet. And
Okay.
as a junior, I think I finally hit 50 feet. I'm going to say as a senior, I hit 55 feet.
All right.
So anyhow,
So anyway, so
uh,
so you went from 43 your sophomore year.
yeah, to like close to 50. I don't remember if I cracked 50 on my junior year, and I hit almost 56 in my senior year, and that was good enough to take second in state behind Jerry Larson, who I've never forgiven for beating me.
And what school was Jerry from? He was Madison.
Medford or Marshfield,
Oh, Middle. Okay.
Marshfield, I think.
Marshall. All right.
And he ended up living in Milwaukee. And I've seen him every once in a while, and he still holds it over me. So
So sophomore year, when you were throwing 43? Were you varsity for shot?
no, JV.
JV. Okay.
And then when I was a junior, they had at that time they had the city relays, which was the Portland Interscholastic League competition where you put three people together in each field event and added their distances together.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course, then you had relay teams and things like that for the other events. And our shot put relay, we had a guy named Bill Hagan, who was our number one shot putter. I was number two, and I think Ken Patera was number three. And we won going away, the city championship on that. And Bill Hagan set the school record for our high school while in that event. And then he graduated, and it was his record I broke.
Oh, okay. Were you friends with him too?
Well, let's say I respected him. We weren't buddies.
Yeah.
He was, he helped me as well. He taught me things on how to throw the shot better and stuff like that. But and then my understanding is my record held until a guy by the name of Roger Smith, who's the younger brother of one of my classmates, not only beat it but shattered it.
Oh, really?
Well over. He went like 61 feet. He just blew it out of the sand.
Wow.
So, but that was like mine lasted for like 8 years, I think, before he broke it.
So
He
what?
definitely broke it.
What's that?
He definitely broke
You
it.
shouted it. So do you remember? So your senior year, you go to state for shot. Where was state?
Down to Eugene,
Okay.
Hayward Field,
All right.
and that was great fun. I mean, anyhow, it was just the shot put was great fun. I just loved it because you were competing against yourself on every single time you threw the shot.
Right.
And one of the ways, well, you know this, but one of the ways I got better is we lived on 27th Street right across from the Eastmoreland Golf Course. And I started, when there was not a car going up and down the road, I would throw the shot and try and reach the other side of the street, which was about 45 feet. Mm-hmm. And in the early days, I'd hit the asphalt, and it might bounce up over the curb. And as I got better, I got to where I would hit the curb, and cement would break and stuff like that. Then I got a little better, and I was throwing it into the turf that was beyond. Still not on the golf course. This was a median strip by the sidewalk. And by the time I finished, I was hitting the sidewalk on the other side, which was right at about 55 feet. And I'd wait for the cars to go by, and every once in a while, people who knew I was would stop their cars and get out and watch me throw across the street. So
Did you ever hear from the city on the sidewalk or anything?
I heard from Eastmoreland Golf Course on two occasions. One is they kept on asking me not to throw because I was hitting the chunks of cement, and I didn't tell them, and I finally got to where I would throw and get past the cement, and I wasn't breaking it. And once I threw to where I could hit the sidewalk and break the cement again, I didn't do that very often because I was getting close to graduation. The other reason they came to visit us is because we were always playing football out on the ninth hole of the golf course, and we were tearing up their golf course a little bit. You know, where we were was out in the rough, so it wasn't like we were ruining the fairways. Well, they came and planted about 40 trees where we would have been otherwise playing football in order to stop us. And if you go by the ninth hole now and look at those trees, they're about 80 feet tall. So
And that was that was your blocking.
that was our football. You know, we could use them as blockers if we were still playing today.
So,
Anyhow,
so do you remember, like, when did you kind of go, oh, I might be good enough to do this in college? Was there a realization, or is it just like always, you just kind of always figured you'd do it?
the kind of the I kind of felt I could do it in college. I wasn't totally convinced until people started offering me scholarships. And the first scholarship I got offered was not even a financial scholarship. It was kind of like, we'll get you a job and stuff like that, and it'll help defray your expenses. Was at Lewis and Clark for the shot put.
Okay.
The only thing I got from them was a shot put. They gave me a 16-pound shot put, and that was kind of your scholarship from Lewis and Clark. And then in senior year, I started getting some scholarship offers from Washington, from Stanford, from Oregon. Actually, the Oregon one didn't come until after the Shrine Game. And you know, like I said, Lewis and Clark, Pacific, you know, there's schools like that.
How would you find out? Like, did a letter come in, or did they call, or?
Yeah, you got a letter from each one basically saying we're interested in you, are you interested in us?
Okay.
And let's get together. And so, like, I went up to Seattle and was shown around the campus by Bob Schlarette, who was a big All-American quarterback at that time, but he happened to be from Gresham, Oregon.
Okay.
So that's who showed me around. And I don't remember who the hosts were at the other schools, but that was pretty typical. As you were hosted, as you were taken around the campus.
But not Oregon State. You didn't go to an Oregon State trip.
No, they must have known I didn't have any engineering capability.
All right, and then what?
I never did hear from them.
What about Stanford? So tell me about the Stanford reaching out to
I
you.
heard from Stanford, and Stanford offered me the full room, board, books, tuition fees, the whole 9 yards, and the requirement was that I had to get 1,200 in the college boards, and I got 1,360, and yet I didn't get the scholarship. After fulfilling what they had told me I needed to do, I got a letter from Dan Stavely, who was the athletic director at that time, saying basically, kind of saying we've overpromised and we can't offer you the scholarship. So I played really well against Stanford whenever we played them.
Would you have gone there if the scholarship had come through instead of Oregon? Do you think? Yeah.
I was so happy being in Oregon. I don't know that I would have, but it certainly would have been prestigious.
All right. So then you go to Oregon. So did you like show up for summer camp or whatever? Or, you know, what did I guess?
It wasn't like it is now. You had a freshman team.
Right.
So our freshman team was made up of Mel Renfro. Obviously, he was the anchor of the team, and he's in the Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame and the NFL Hall of Fame. Bob Berry was our quarterback, and he ended up being the backup for Fran Tarkenton for the Vikings, and then he went down and played for the Falcons. Dave Wilcox, he joined us actually our junior year, so he was not on that freshman team. But that original freshman team, there were about 16 people that could consider them starters on either offense or defense, because you did play both ways then as well.
Right.
And John Robinson was our head coach. And John Robinson, of course, at that time, stuttered constantly. And that made for some of the funniest stories that we ever experienced.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm going to pause. Are you getting like a whistling sound?
I am.
I am too. I'm going to see if I'm going to pause it here and see.
There, it stopped just now.
Yeah, it's like it's. Let me hit pause and see if I can get that to go away for a second. One second. I'm gonna hit pause.
Okay.
All right, I've resumed recording. All right, so wait. Before I kind of skipped over. So the Shrine Game, which is people now would call it the Les Schwab Bowl, but
Right.
the precursor to that, which when Grandpa played on it was called the Milk Jug Game, right? And then it became
The Milk Bowl.
the Milk Bowl.
Yep.
So where'd they play that game?
Multnomah Stadium, or what do we call it now? Civic Stadium.
Oh yeah, okay, yep,
And we ended up, and at that time it was basically north versus south. It was Portland metro area against basically southern Oregon. I think we were basically north versus south. I'd have to go
right,
back and
yep,
look and see where everybody was from, but that was a great experience. We stayed out at Lewis and Clark. I
okay,
don't remember where the state team stayed, but we were at Lewis and Clark, and I just remember they had a bus that schlepped us around, and it had a driver's cabin on each end of the bus. So he never had to turn around. He just walked from the front of the bus to the back of the bus in order to go wherever we were going. But now, if you play in the Shrine Game, you get a whole bunch of stuff.
right.
And back then, you got a chance to play in the game, and that was it.
So, but you went against a guy. You were telling me about this. A guy who was really good.
Marv Harris, who ended up being a starter at Stanford, was the guy I played across from, and I had not been offered a scholarship at Oregon until after the Shrine Game, and I had a pretty good game. He was so good that he was sent back to Hershey, Pennsylvania for I think they called it the All-American Bowl or something like that. So he was considered a high school All-American, which would be probably the equivalent of a 5-star today.
Right.
And I played across from him. I had a good game, and the next thing you know, I had a scholarship offer from Oregon.
So, and did you plan all along to do both, to do track at Oregon too, or did they did?
I didn't plan to do track down at Oregon. I was just going to do football, but I ended up being the third best. I went out as a freshman down there and started throwing the shot because I was nothing. We weren't playing the long spring ball
Yeah.
stuff that we are today. We had, as I recall, we had spring practice, but I don't think it lasted as long. And you weren't building up to a big game that thousands of people would come to like they. They're almost packing the stadium. It feels like now. But I went out for track just to kind of see how I could do. And we had a guy named Neil Steinauer who was from Canada and ended up being on their Olympic team. And he was our best shot putter. And then behind him was Jerry Larson, the guy that had beaten me for state.
All right.
And then I was third, and a guy named Mark Richards was fourth, and he and I were pretty close. Let's say that Steinauer was throwing the 16-pound shot over 60 feet. Jerry was throwing it probably 55, and I was probably throwing 52 or 53.
Okay.
And so was Mark Richards. Well, what happened is that if we were in a close track meet, they used to score track meets. First place got 5 points in a dual meet. First place got 5 points, second place got 3, and third place got 1. And if we were in a close track meet, and I was down playing football, they would send a runner down to come and get me out of football practice. I'd run up and change it. Well, running for me was pretty slow. I'd go up and change into my track uniform, and I'd go out and throw the shot. And of course, invariably, I was pretty loose from the football practice.
Right.
And I'd go up there and throw the shot, and I was good for. They probably called me up 10 times for 10 different meets at one time or another. And I think I scored 7 or 8 points in that time period. So, and in a couple of cases, we beat the opposition by 1 point.
Right.
I consider that my point.
Didn't that happen against the Beavers once? Didn't you get a point against the Beavers?
It happened against the Beavers.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
So, and then freshman year, did you guys play your games at Hayward freshman year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we played. Our best game of that year was up in Seattle, and we were playing the Huskies. And at the end of the first team, I know, John Robinson gave his motivational speech at the beginning. And as I say, he stuttered unbelievable. And he says, okay, you guys, he says, we're going to play these Huskies, and we're going to kick their ass. And you guys aren't coming out until it's 54 to nothing. And then we go out and on the opening kickoff. These are sequential, but they're going to be a little off, but it's close. The numbers will be right. Renfro runs back the opening thing for a touchdown. Later on, Barry throws a big pass for a touchdown. We scored another touchdown. I don't remember how, but I think at halftime it was 21 to nothing. So Robbie comes in and says, "I don't care. The score is really nothing to nothing. You're starting all over again. You got to play just as well as you did. And like I say, you're not coming out till it's 54 to 10." We go out, and on the opening series of plays, we score. The second series of plays, we score. The third play we score. It's 42 to nothing or something like that. And I'm standing next to Robbie on the sideline, and he says, "All right, you guys, that's close enough. Come on out." They replaced us with all the second teamers and so on. I think we finally ended up winning the game like 51 to 10 or something like that.
That's a good day then to beat the Huskies like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
So then, and then could you tell, like, I mean, you had played against him in high school, but could you tell Renfro was different even as a freshman? Was like, this guy was great.
Well, because I not always saw him on the football field. Well, okay. My junior year, we were the second best team in the PIL. And they beat us 32 to nothing. And Ray Renfro, Mel's older brother, was second in scoring in the league behind Norm Patera, who was on our team. And you already know the score is 32 to nothing, so Norm didn't score. But during the 32-point buildup, when it got to 26 points, Ray hadn't scored either. So Norm still had the lead. And we're getting down to the end of the game, and this is how I recall it, and I'd love to have it verified, but this is what I think happened. Mel broke loose for a long run and stepped out on the 2 or 3 yard line and let Ray carry it across to get the scoring championship.
Wow.
So that's how I remember it.
Right.
So and of course it's been long enough ago the mind couldn't be going on that.
And he was All-American in track too, right? Wasn't he? Mel?
He was this phenomenal track athlete. He'd be a decathlete today.
Yeah.
Because his long jumps were probably 24, 25 feet. His 100 times was probably 9, 10 flat. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking 100 yards. His hurdles, he was a fabulous hurdler. And he didn't do the pole vault, although I heard from somebody that he was a great pole vaulter too, but he could only handle 3 events during the meet.
Right.
So anyhow, he was awesome. And in fact, I have a copy of a magazine, the National High School Track and Field published a periodical that featured him on the cover of the magazine. And I've still got that magazine.
Hey, whatever you did before the whistle, you tried again. How'd you get the whistle to stop last time? Because now it's going again. But you did something.
Let me see.
There, whatever.
I can't.
Now that's louder. Let's see.
Is it still going?
It's still going. It was weird. Whatever you did that last time,
Let's see. I've turned my volume down, so it's going to be tougher to hear you. But anyhow.
All right. Yep. I don't know why it keeps doing that. All right. So. All right, so then sophomore year, you're on the there it goes away. Sophomore year, you're on varsity now there's no more freshman team, right? And is there JV for?
There's no JV.
Okay.
No, you're on varsity. You're either playing or you're not. And sophomore year, I wasn't really playing. I'd get in every once in a while. And then junior year, which would be, let's see, 60, 61, 62, well, my fourth year, because I redshirted my second year, so I didn't play in any games that year. Because now you can play in 4 games and still have eligibility, and back then if you played 1 minute, one play, you lost a year of eligibility. So I redshirted as a sophomore, so that would be the 61 season. 62 played but didn't play much. The guys that were ahead of me were Steve Barnett, who ended up being a starter for the Chicago Bears, and Ron Snidow, who ended up being a starter for the Cleveland Browns. And they were both really, really good, and good guys as well. And then junior year, I played enough to letter and Not had a stellar career by any means, but got plenty of chance to play. And we ended up, that was our Sun Bowl team.
Right.
We ended up, I think we were 7-3 regular season. And that was the year that JFK was assassinated. And that is the one time during the 5 years I was playing that we actually beat Oregon State.
Oh, okay.
They handled us the other 4 years with Terry Baker and their various guys that they had. So that rivalry was so big at that time that it was pretty cool.
So an observation from what, because I've watched some of your game films, and tell me if these are correct. So a few things that stand out is, first of all, obviously heavier in the running game, but the quarterback would block. He'd toss the pitch to somebody and then go as a lead blocker, right?
We had to play number 27.
Okay.
That's the 2 back through the 7 hole. Mm-hmm. The holes were numbered between center and guard was the 1 hole, guard and tackle was the 3 hole, 5 hole, tackle and end, 7 hole outside the end. Well, we had a 27. And
by the way, I know this system because when you coached my youth football team, you used it. So we had the same thing. Yes.
I can only learn so many things. So anyhow, basically Bob Berry would turn to his left, pitch the ball to Mel Renfro, who was running to his right, and he would then cut up into the hole, the 7 hole, but his lead blocker was Bob Berry. And that was, you'd pull a guard to lead, and Berry would turn and then rotate and be the second one, so you'd have 3 guys going at the hole, the third one being Renfro. And that play worked really well for the whole year, so. I don't think anybody wants to sacrifice their quarterback anymore.
Well, the other observation is when you guys would pass block, you would cut block on pass plays.
Yeah, there's so many things that they have changed the rules on in my lifetime that are meant to minimize injuries.
Right.
We used to give an award to the guy that had the most injuries during the year. And Ron Jones, my good friend, is one of those guys that always was a candidate for that award and won it as his senior year.
Wait, for causing injuries or getting injured?
Pardon me?
For causing injuries or for getting injured?
For getting injured.
Oh, for getting injured. Okay, yeah.
For getting injured, Yeah, we didn't give an award for causing injuries.
Yeah. And then how was the condition of the field compared to like walking down on Autzen today? I mean, was the field in good shape?
Well, it was a turf field.
So it was.
It was a turf field in Oregon.
Okay.
And it rained. I don't know if you know this, Mike. Well, you've lived here a while. It rains in Oregon.
It does on occasion. Yes, I've noticed.
I don't know if you remember that. And so those fields would get torn up pretty well.
Right.
And by the time, and of course at that time, we had longer cleats as well, and the cleats would dig up the turf. Now they're more like treads on the bottom of the shoes because they're playing on turf, on AstroTurf.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference.
And you said Wilcox didn't come till your junior year? Where was
he played for Boise Junior College.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He spent, I think, 2 years at Boise Junior, then came in as a junior, and of course he's in the NFL Hall of Fame too.
Was he crazy good right out of the gates? I mean,
unbelievable.
Really.
And the kind of guy you'd like to have leading you. And he was inspirational as well as great. And you look at him, and he's got the widest shoulders of anybody I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the most humble person. But get him on a football field, and he was just unbelievably good.
Right. So then I've seen you had in a scrapbook, you got letters from the Vikings, Chiefs, and Cowboys inviting you to camp. So what was that?
So did the guy that picked up the towels. I mean, I got to be honest about it.
Yeah.
Those letters don't mean a damn thing because you had to follow through and go through all the recruiting process, and they didn't have a combine like they do now.
Right.
But they'd come to your school and measure times and things like that. And, my time was clocked with a calendar instead of a stopwatch, and I knew myself well enough that I didn't put myself through that. I didn't see any future in the NFL for me.
And it was different. I mean, it's not like the paydays were not what they are today
No,
either for your buddies.
not even close.
Yeah.
I have no idea what like Barry made, but he was a backup to one of the great quarterbacks of the time, and he played a lot. I mean, Bob played for both the Falcons and the Vikings, and I'll bet in a good year he might have made 75,000,
Yeah.
maybe
I think that sounds right.
I'd be surprised if it was that high.
So what? So looking back, what would be? I got two, kind of two like greatest questions. What's the best game you ever played in?
Let me think about that. Uh, huh. I would have to say the Air Force Academy game.
Okay.
We were, we dedicated, the field at Air Force Academy was brand new. And I think they played 3 or 4 games on it before we got there, but the dedication of that field was the game we arrived to play. And it got coverage in all sorts of newspapers. In fact, there was a cartoon strip at the time called Steve Canyon, which was about an Air Force guy and so on. And they even mentioned our game in the comic strip.
Right.
And TV Guide was that's how you learned about all your TV programs. It was like the biggest deal going on because we were playing on the new field. So, I played pretty well in that game. I played well in the Arizona game, and I played very poorly in the Washington State game. So
Right.
let's balance each other.
Who? So for college, because I think for high school it'd be Renfro or Baker. But for college, who's the best guy you ever played against that you were out there just going, this dude is ridiculous?
Well, not specifically that I played against, but that was on the other
Yeah,
team.
yeah, that you just watched first.
Now I'm going to forget his name. The fullback for Texas. God. The fullback. Okay, one is Indiana had a fullback named Tom Nowatzki,
Okay.
and he was terrific. At least he was terrific in our game, and that was the one we beat them in the last play in Multnomah Stadium on the final Bob Berry pass. But Nowatzki was really good. The best player. I'd have to think more about that. Yeah, I'd really have to. I'd have to work on that one. I will tell you this. One of the coolest, one of the most unique things that happened was when we played Rice in
Okay.
Texas, in Houston, and this was I'm going to say it was 1963, probably 62. And we're down there, and they would not let the black players stay in the same hotel as the white players. And Casanova said, all or none at all. And the hotel would not accept us. So we ended up at a totally different hotel that was not up to the standards you usually had for accommodations for these games. But we were all in it together. And we went to play Rice the next day. And the newspapers the following day, on Sunday after the Saturday game, wrote an article that started out, he snakes, he crawls on his belly like a reptile or something like that. The man can do anything. He goes anywhere. He can do whatever he wants. Mel Renfro is the greatest player we've ever seen. And in that particular game, he scored one touchdown I've got the article on it still. I think he got credit for running 87 yards in the touchdown, but they said he did 146 in total, and he was touched by 12 different people from Rice in that run.
Right. And just zigzagging around everything.
It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Was he the greatest player you ever played with? Was Renfro?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Right.
And Bob Berry was really good, but Renfro was on a whole different plateau.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, I think that's the show. That was anything you want to say as a summation to the sports career.
Well, let me think about about this. You can splice this?
I can splice this.
Okay, let me think for a minute. Well, I love the fact that, well, I just have to tell you this story because I think it speaks volumes about the continuation of the game. We have friends that live in the same area that we do, and they have a grandson who was talking about playing football, and has disabilities, including one eye, and he was talking about he wanted to be in sports and he thought he would play football, and here he was probably, I'm going to say he was 8 or 9 years old, and he says, you know, I've been thinking about it, I probably can't be a receiver because I can't see very well, so I wouldn't be able to catch the ball. And he says, and I'm not really big enough to be a tackle, and I'm not going to be a quarterback, we all know that. But I think I can be a center because anybody can be a center. Now, the person laughing right now, son Michael, is a center. I was a center. My brother was a center.
Your grandson
was a center.
Yeah.
We have centers in the family, but as you know, anybody can play center. So, yeah, that'll give you one laugh.
Well, and it's I'd say if you look at, you know, for you and for me and then for Connor, you know, and for, you know, like in our various football careers, I don't think
I left Connor out, didn't I?
What is another center? Yeah. And it's like you can't put and even like Pat, you know, like you can't measure how much joy we've gotten in our lives out of the game of football.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like once you've played it, you just can't get enough of continuing to absorb it because there's something about that game.
No, the sports year runs from August 27th till about January 15th, and there's no other sports that count after that.
Yeah. You still watch some.
Oh, I watch every one of them. I'm on my, what is this, day 6 of the Tour de France?
Yeah, but no, I haven't watched today yet, though, so don't tell me today. I haven't watched today.
I haven't missed a minute of it yet. Yeah.
All right, Dad. Well, thank you for doing my first podcast. I'll give our sponsor one more shout out. Again, Michelob Ultra Zero, 0 alcohol, 29 calories, a little bit of taste. Okay, that's...